Defences took the night off as Ulster gave themselves a very slim chance of qualifying for the last 16. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Ulster were showing some, pretty decent attacking intent early on, but lack of accuracy, and from them there's a wayward pass that goes to ground that allows Exeter then to make a big break through Will Rigg. Exeter then work close on the right before putting in a crossfield kick. Then it's Hammersley. He collects the kick. He's tackled but manages to offload to Brown Bampo, who has just a walk in to score as Ulster ran out of the numbers, converted for 7-0, and Exeter, just completely punishing Ulster for that error. Werner Koch, who took a heavy knock when he attempted to tackle in the build-up to the try, he goes off from HIA, which he fails, doesn't come back on, so hopefully he's okay. He did have a big shiner when they showed him, sitting on the bench later, up in the stands actually, later on. Ulster then trying to get some kind of foothold in the game, but decent defence, and aggression at the breakdown from Exeter, coupled with inaccuracy from Ulster, making that very difficult for them. Exeter then strike from a line out, on their own 22. They go over the top because line out has been poor for them. They decided, they don't want it to be contested, and Grigg collects it, goes into contact, and straight away then Vincent picks at the back of that ruck and just goes straight through the middle, and his pace just takes him between two Ulster players, and they just can't catch him. He's just too fast for me, and he's got the wheels to go all the way. And this guy is a decent player, and I remember if you go back, the November internationals, right? New Zealand against Italy, he was decent in that one. And they were talking about the fact at the time, and they brought it up again tonight in commentary as well, that he was like a pizza delivery man at the time, which is crazy to think about. But he's a decent player, and just having that amount of pace as well, just gives them an extra dimension. Conversion is missed, and it's 12-0 to Exeter. Then consecutive penalties allow Ulster to go up the line into the 22. First real attacking opportunity from them. They work from left to right. Cormac Izuchukwu and Eric O'Sullivan with a number of strong carries in there, and then eventually work it up to the line, and Izuchukwu picks and goes over the line to score. Doak converts it for 12-7. Ulster back in this one. Then a nice kick through into the 22 by Jack Murphy forces Exeter to play the ball. Then Armstrong, he's told to use it, but they want to set up like one of these stupid caterpillar things, and Holly Davison says, not having any of that. You took too long, attacking 5-metre scrum to Ulster. And it's good to see that being given, because there's been plenty of times, I thought even for Ulster actually, Doak on one or two occasions might have been on the wrong side too, but good to see it being given, because we were told they'd be a bit hotter on that. Then McCann goes off the back of that Ulster scrum. He's halted a metre short. Ulster pick and go a couple of times. McCann back up on his feet, and he picks and goes himself and gets over to score this time. Doak misses the conversion, and it's 12 points all. Then an Ulster error allows Exeter to retake the lead. There's a kick over the top, and I don't know who it was there at the back, but they just allowed the ball to bounce, and eventually then, by the time they get to the ball, they're getting tackled, and it actually looked like to me like the Ulster player kind of flung the ball forward, just to try and get rid of it. But Exeter able to keep hold of possession deep into that 22 to go to the right, and then Tuima just picks at the back of the ruck, and then kind of spins a little bit and then, or just kind of turns around almost like, and is able to just ground the ball over the line. There was a little suspicion of maybe offside, but on the replays he looked absolutely fine. Conversions missed at 17 points to 12. Ulster then with a chance to attack from a line out on the edge of 22, but as they move it, McNabney spills the ball after a really good hit from Goldrick Clark. Then Ulster come again. Rob Little claims a kick, runs back to halfway. There's penalty advantage because he's hit high. He's kind of one of these ones where he's falling, and then the second tackler is coming in and kind of smacks him in the head. And we would have gone back for the penalty for that, except for Nick Timoney picks and goes, shakes off a would-be tackler, and then outpaces the cover to score in the corner. Doak drags the conversion to the left of the post, and it's 17 points all. Lowry then charges down a clearance kick. He chases the ball. He gets there, but as he's being tackled, he's trying to look for an offload and knocks the ball on. And then we have a scrum. Exeter get the ball off the pitch, and it's half-time, 17 points all. Into the second half then, Ulster running the ball a lot better than they were in the first half. There's a promising move, ends with Izuchuku knocking on in contact, but then from the resulting scrum, it's Ulster that win a penalty and they're able to kick to the corner. McCann claims a line out. They set up the maul. Some of the backs come in to help and they drive over the line. Herring is the scorer, converted by Doak for 24 points to 17. And that was the bonus point try for Ulster. And that meant that, if they went on to win the game, there's a very outside chance of them qualifying for the last 16 because they needed to at least get the 5 match points to have any chance of that. Then Jack Flannery is pinged for not rolling away. Exeter kick to the corner. Line out though goes awry and Ulster are able to clear. Exeter then have an extended period of possession in the Ulster half. Doak, he's hobbling around the backfield for Ulster, but Exeter keeping the ball in hand. I don't think they realised, how injured he was. Otherwise, because they've had, they've had decent return from those little kicks in behind against, an Ulster kind of makeshift Ulster back three really tonight that weren't really all on the same page. But again, keeping the ball in hand. Eventually, then Ryan Wilson gets over the ball to win a penalty, and Cooney comes on to replace Doak. Also, then win scrum penalty up the line to the edge of the 22. Exeter halt the maul and then drive them away from the 22 with more aggressive defence. But before then, Wilson gets them back on the front foot and into that 22. They make a half break then. Carson, he's got men outside him on the right, but he decides to go himself. He's tackled, also recycled a few times, and Izuchuku gets over for his second and Ulster's fifth try. Cooney converts that from 31 points to 17. Then Postlethwaite thought he did really well out in the wide channels, getting his hands free. Two guys tackling him, but he manages, to free his hands, pops it off to Lowry out wide. He feeds Carson, who just weaves his way to the line. Cooney converts, and finally there's a bit of daylight between the teams, 38 points to 17. Ulster then make good meters from Moal in the 22. They spread it. Exeter, managed to put them back, or push them back, before Callum Reid smashes his way deep into the 22, haul down a couple of meters short of the line, but Ulster have the momentum. They recycle and go wide for a walk-in for McCann. Cooney converts 45-17. Ulster then go up the line to about 10 minutes out from a penalty, set up the maul. Exeter look to sack it immediately, but Izuchuku peels off the front and then races over to score his hat-trick try. Cooney converts 52 points to 17, and Ulster really, feel like they're doing themselves a decent, or giving themselves a decent chance, by just reducing that points difference deficit to the Sharks at that stage, but throwing the ball around in their own 22 right at the death, and they drop the ball. Wimbush collects it, and he just goes under the post to score. Skinner converts 52-24, and that was the full-time score. And maybe, come Sunday's game, Ulster possibly could be, kicking themselves that they conceded that late score. Kind of reminds me, honestly, of, I don't know what year it was, a long time ago, but Ireland were playing Italy on the last day of the Six Nations, and they knew there was a good possibility that the game was going to come down to, or the championship was going to come down to points difference, and they're playing Italy, trying to get one last try, conceded a try, and then ended up, not winning the tournament. I can't remember somebody would remember what year it was, I'm sure. But anyway, let's have a look at the stats before we quickly talk about each of the teams. So, first of all, tries, 8 tries for Ulster and 4 for Exeter, which means that, Exeter no longer on 0 points. They actually got the first point, or their only point of this year's competition with that, final try there. Then, kicking success 75% to 50%, but it wasn't really about, kicks too much in this game. On attack then, meters made 320 for Ulster, 339 for Exeter. And again, Exeter finding a lot of space and gaps in that Ulster defence. Carries 116 to 106. Clean breaks 13 for Ulster and 6 for Exeter, and defenders beaten 28 to 15. But Ulster really, it was the second half when they started to kind of pull away in the stats. Offloads then 9 to 5. The main offload that kind of sticks out to me is Postlethwaite's one to Lowry that led to that try for Carson. Then passes 124 to 130, possession 57% to 43, and territory 55 to 45. Again, Ulster, basically stepping up in the second half because it was much closer in the first half between the two teams. Tackles made then 117 to 140. Tackle success 82% for Ulster, not too bad. 78 for Exeter, not exactly amazing by them. Like normally, we talk about in the URC that you're looking for at least 85. 85 is kind of a pass mark. So Ulster a little bit below that, and Exeter, well below that. And kind of in this competition, you would, look to be somewhere around that kind of mid 80s. Would be a decent, defensive performance in terms of first up tackles. Turnovers 1 then, 6 to Ulster and 5 to Exeter. I think the one that stood out most for me was Wilson getting that penalty for Ulster and gave them a little bit of momentum in that second half. Set pieces then, lineouts 11 out of 11 for Ulster, and Exeter also won 11 lineouts, but unlike Ulster 100%, they were down at 79%, which is probably a step up from where they've been because they've had the worst lineout in the whole competition. But still not good from them. And when they were winning the ball, they were just going to the front because or like flinging it over the top because they knew if they went kind of anywhere towards the back, Ulster were up there competing. Scrums 1 then, 5 for Ulster and 4 for Exeter. 100% for Ulster and 80% for Exeter. And it was Ulster who were winning the scrum penalties as well. So set piece going pretty well for them. Can't say the same for Exeter. Kicks from hand then 27 to 22, and kicks meters made 658 to 634. So even though Exeter had 5 kicks less, pretty even in terms of meters made from the kicks. Retained kicks though 6 from Ulster and 3 for Exeter. So decent return for Ulster, and especially in the second half, competing well in the air, and got them a bit of front football as well. Breakdown then 103 rucks for Ulster and rucks won, and 77 for Exeter. 1 ruck lost each. 98% for Ulster, which is decent, and 94 for Exeter. Ulster though they had kind of quick rucks for most of the game, but it was kind of not the cleanest ball. But I felt when Cooney come on, he did a better job than Doak in terms of just moving the ball, but also making the right decision. Doak had a decent game, but I felt like Cooney added a bit more zip into their play when he come on. Turnovers won in Bucks and Maul 6-5. Maul totaled 6 for Ulster and none for Exeter, and Ulster 100% success from the Mauls as well. And Maul meters gained 6-0, and again that doesn't make sense for me, because for the try that they scored, Ulster probably made at least 6 meters on that, and then they had one or two more Mauls that were decent that made meters too. So in this competition, in terms of the stats, I worry a little bit about the Maul meters gain. I'm wondering whether they're recording it properly or not, but you can't. It seems like you can't get one source with completely accurate stats for any competition. We know there's there's some kind of kick thing right in the URC that I talk about. There's always 0-0, and I don't know why they even have it on there. And I'm sure every other competition is kind of similar as well. Penalties conceded then, 2 for Ulster is absolutely amazing, and 8 for Exeter. 8 would be a decent return in most games, honestly. And especially Exeter, they've had trouble in terms of their discipline as well through the pool stages. So to get down into single figures is decent for them, but in comparison, it's not when Ulster only conceded 2 penalties. Okay, so let's talk about each of the teams then. We start with the home team, Ulster. So, had a poor start, but managed to regroup, got themselves back in it. Then second half, they were clearly the better side. Thought Wilson and Izuchukwu, both standout players. Timney, McCann and O'Sullivan as well in that pack, looking pretty good. Then in the backs, I thought Carson and Postlethwaite both carried well, but it was only kind of towards the end of the game, the kind of the fourth quarter, where they really start linking up together. I thought that the likes of Lowry had a mixed game, and kind of the back three altogether, got cut out a few times, but decent in attack as well, and a little bit more linking play from them. Then Murphy, again a kind of a mixed bag at 10, but he certainly is improving. Doak, decent while it was on, but I think Cooney kind of stepped it up a bit when he came off the bench as well. Onto Exeter then, took advantage of Ulster's errors early on. Vincent scored an absolutely brilliant solo try, finding gaps when they went wide, and really had Ulster looking in trouble as well when they got those big wingers on the ball in space, but their line out was very poor. Again, comparative discipline, especially at that time of the game where 2 penalties back to back, that gave Ulster a way back into the game, and then they had no real impact from the bench either. And second half, for most of it, the kind of heads went down once Ulster start racking up to score. So kind of from here now, from Ulster's point of view, they've given themselves some hope, but they're going to need a big favour from Bordeaux, and they're going to want Bordeaux to be in very ruthless form against the Sharks when they play on Sunday. But the thing to remember is that it's not all about the it's not all about the points difference. Obviously, that's what Ulster were trying to do in this game once they kind of had it won. But Sharks just need any kind of match point from that game, whether that's a try bonus point, losing bonus point, they draw, they win, whatever. As long as they get 1 match point, it doesn't matter what the points difference is after that, because they'll have 6 match points to Ulster's 5, and they'll be safe through there. But Ulster, they've done what they needed to do in terms of giving themselves a chance. And I feel like, given how poor they've been for much of the season, especially in this, Champions Cup, they finish on a bit of a high. And even if they don't, get that miracle kind of to qualify, the confidence that they're going to get from this game is really going to help them, when they drop down to the Challenge Cup, but also when they return to URC action as well. So I think a decent win for them. Exeter still looking, to turn their own season around, and the search now for them, that they've been eliminated from Europe completely, has to continue back in the Premiership. But that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.